So thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dorenda Hamarlund. I am the Workforce Development Specialist with the Pennsylvania State Department of Corrections. Just thank you. This outpour of interest for this webinar way exceeded what we were looking for. I know that we plan on focusing primarily on agriculture today. But those of you that are not necessarily in the agricultural world and are just looking on second chance hiring information, that will be interspersed in here also. But we can always chat offline if you're not getting exactly what you're looking for. But we are tailoring today's webinar specifically to the agricultural realm, just because we have some exciting stuff that's getting ready to start, hopefully in the near future at some of our prisons. So again, if you haven't already done so, if you could please enter your name, job title, and your business in the chat, that would be great. And then Shea, if you could give me a thumbs up if it moved on to the next slide. Perfect. All right, so we're just going to do a couple introductions. I have some great people here with me today that are going to present. Like I said, I'm Dorenda Hamarlund with Department of Corrections. And then I'm going to let Sarah introduce herself really quickly.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Glagora. I am the Special Assistant for Workforce Development and Central Regional Director at the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. So really excited to have you all joining us today and really excited for this discussion.
Yes, thank you, Sarah, for helping organize this. We're really excited at Department of Corrections to partner with the Department of Agriculture with some upcoming initiatives. So we're very excited about this. And then next up, we have Shea with Flagler Force.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shea Zwerver. I'm the Workforce Relations Manager at Flagler Force.
And Flagler Force is actually one of our public partners, public second chance employers that we do work with. So you will be hearing from her in a little bit about working with Flagler Force and how they came about being a second chance employer. And sometimes it's really great as an employer to hear from another employer their ups and downs and challenges. So we're really excited. So thank you, Sarah and Shea. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the PowerPoint here. So a little bit of information about what I do. A lot of what I do is education. I work with employers, I work with Commonwealth agencies, the public, community providers, and just really share with them what the State Department of Corrections does as far as workforce and getting inmates job ready. And so that's a lot of what I do. I present on panels, roundtables, podcasts. I've done a number of these different webinars, both virtual and in person, and some hybrids. And the biggest thing that I do that I hope to work with most of you today is how do I help fill your workforce needs? So I am like the one point of contact with Department of Corrections, a single point to initiate that relationship. And then from there, it's not a one-time thing. It is an ongoing relationship, but I can be your single point of contact to start and initiate that. That's one of my big roles. So something I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with is the unemployment rate. I just always like to put it out there that the national unemployment rate as of August is 3.7%. And unfortunately here in Pennsylvania, we are higher. We're at 4.2%. And those are both as of August. And if you scroll into various counties, some of that's higher, some of it's lower. But this is just the average. So some of you that might be in some rural counties, your unemployment rate might be 6%. I know Philly was up to 6% at one point. So way exceeding the national average. And as an employer, I'm sure I'm not telling you something you don't already know or are already feeling as an employer. So first off, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what it means to be inside prison. And a lot of people have their own, thoughts on what it means when they think of somebody doing time. What image comes to mind? Just think about that for a minute. How do you think they spend their days? What type of person do you imagine? A lot of people have seen Shawshank Redemption, Orange is the New Black, and so we do have sort of these stigmas that we think happen in prisons. You think of gangs, you think of exercising. That's all they do. They just lift weights and exercise all day. They're just hanging out. Or up here in the right corner, we have Charles Manson, you know, those notorious people. I'm originally from the Department of Corrections in California, so I always throw Manson in there because he was one of our inmates for many years out there. And that's a high profile picture that if you see Charles Manson, you immediately think, oh, somebody muted me. There we go. When you think of that, you think, oh my gosh, that's somebody really bad, and they've, you know, committed a crime, and this is all they do all day. They're a gang, exercising, hanging out. Now, I don't have rose-colored glasses. I've been with Department of Corrections in Pennsylvania and California for 25 years. Yes, some of this does happen. I'm not gonna pull the wool over on your eyes and say that it doesn't. It does. However, there's a lot of other great stuff that does happen inside the prisons. This is actually the reality. We have education. Oops, I passed. We have education. Inmates are offered, you know, the chance to go to school and further their education. We have reentry. We have employment. And I'm going to touch on each of these just to give you a quick glimpse into what's offered behind the walls to someone that, as a second chance employer, somebody that might come to you may have participated in. So this is just a really quick overview of our state correctional institutions. Again, every Department of Corrections, it's not county or federal. They are run separately through separate agencies and entities. If you need help linking up with a local county jail, let me know. I do have some resources for that and I can help you with that. But everything I'm going to talk about today is state prisons. So we have 24 state correctional institutions throughout the Commonwealth. Now, something that's different with the state corrections versus the county corrections is county agencies, when they have somebody in their jails, the majority of the time they're going to be released to that county. That is not the case for our state prisons. Our inmates are housed at prisons based on a variety of different factors. There's a whole algorithm that actually goes into it. You know, their custody level, their programming needs, their education, their age, if they're elderly and maybe they need, you know, more assistance. So unfortunately, where they're going to be released to is not really a big factor. So the reason I like to point that out is just so everybody is aware that if somebody is housed, say, up at one of the Erie state correctional institutions, they could be released to Philadelphia. So with that, we try to standardize as much as we can inside the prisons. So that way, anybody we work with on any given day can come from any of the 67 counties in Pennsylvania. So we need to be able to address what their needs are in their county they're going to be released to. So we do have some goals inside the prison whenever it comes to workforce. Our biggest goal inside the prison is ensuring the inmates are job ready any step of incarceration. And then our goal outside is how can we assist employers with the workforce needs and to show you guys the benefits of hiring our population. So we kind of have the twofold on what we do both inside and outside. And I am that connector to both inside and outside. By talking with employers and working with labor and industry and other agencies, I'm able to share what employers' needs are on the outside and make sure that what we're doing inside the prison is relevant and updated to what employers' needs are. So a few things that employers have said that they've wanted, and I'm sure some of you that are employers, you might shake your head and go, yep, exactly it. The first thing is career awareness. What do you actually do in an industry? You know, if you're gonna work in HVAC, for instance, know that you're gonna be crawling on your hands and knees. If you're gonna work on a farm, oh my goodness, you're gonna get muddy, especially coming up in the fall. Understand that it's a 24/7 job. It's not just an 8 to 5 job working on a farm. You know, you don't get weekends off. You don't get holidays. The animals still need to eat. They, you know, the crops still need to be looked after. So it's not a typical job. So just understanding that career awareness. The second thing was a little bit of hands-on experience. Know a little bit about, you know, that hands-on piece. And then some soft skills or career readiness skills. You know how to work with other people, how to properly quit a job, how to talk to other people, whether it's customers or coworkers or supervisors. So what we've done inside the prison is we have schools, just like regular schools. We have principals, we have guidance counselors, adult basic education teachers, we have vocational teachers. They are all able to participate. We have school-aged youth programs they're all able to participate in these programs while they're incarcerated. So vocational programs. We have 28 different vocational programs offered inside the prisons. 28. Now, unfortunately, due to spacing and staff, we can't have all 28 at every prison. So every prison has anywhere from 2 to maybe 5 or 6. But these are great vocational opportunities. You know, you might see on here horticulture, welding. We have construction. You know, I'm going to stick still with the agriculture theme. You know, when it comes to building a barn, you know, or building a structure that you need for an animal or to house equipment, you kind of need to know that stuff. We have auto mechanics and technicians. That's a huge thing. You know, a lot of agriculture, you know, you're working with large machines. So we do have inmates that are going through vocational programs that, even though it might sound outside the box, it may be right up what you're looking for. Now, these vocational programs actually come with nationally accredited certifications, every one of them. They're not just getting a certificate from the prison saying, I went through a vocational program. They're nationally accredited certifications. There's OSHA 10, some are getting OSHA 30. We have ServSafe for any of our food or culinary. You know, American Welding Society. We have forklift, you know, licenses they're getting. So we have those nationally accredited certifications that go with every program that we offer. And I do have a list. If you are interested, you can always let me know and we can talk offline and I can go over more about the individual certifications that we offer, and we do have that available. So this is where the soft skills piece comes in a little bit. We created a class called Pathway to Success inside the prisons a couple years ago. And what this does is this helps get inmates job ready, understand what the job, you know, entails, what to expect, you know, in a job. They start with an ONET interest assessment, come up with what their interests are, and then pick jobs based on that, not just what they think they might be interested in. We go all the way through to interviewing, writing a resume, how to interview, how to address their conviction question. So we do all of that in this one semester class inside the prison. And then once somebody's gone through education, our next goal is to get them that hands-on experience with inmate employment. Now, the great thing about, you know, a career pathway, if you're familiar with it, is you don't always have to go to education to get into inmate employment. Maybe you already have some skills in education. You don't need anything more. You just go right to inmate employment if you're familiar with the career pathways. So inside our prisons, they're run like little cities. Somebody has to do the landscaping. Somebody has to do the cooking, the cleaning, the janitorial. Everything that goes on inside the prison is done with staff, with inmate workers. So when snow comes around, it's not staff that are out there shoveling the snow, it's inmates. If a plumbing issue, I know one of our prisons just had a water issue. If there was a plumbing issue, it's not just staff working on that plumbing issue, it's our inmate workers that are right alongside of them, learning and getting that hands-on, doing that plumbing issue. The reason I mention that is that if somebody has gone through one of our vocational programs, that is our goal, is to then get them in that vocation. So if they've gone through our HVAC program, then guess what? The next thing we do is we get them working on the HVAC system inside the prison. So that is how our inmate employment works. So it's just a great chance to get that hands-on experience that employers were so interested in somebody having. So another part of our employment that we have are our correctional industries. We have a number of them. They're all listed here. They're at all of our prisons. And these are factories inside our prisons. We have garments. We have laundry. We have up at SCI Rockview, we are actually refurbishing the PennDOT wheel and snowplow refurbishing. We're refurbishing their machines up there. So they have a great opportunity to get that hands-on experience also while working in almost like a real factory. You know, they're constantly working. And we have commissaries. So they're run like little distribution centers. They pick orders, they inventory, they're stocking, they're doing all of that. And so this is another great opportunity, but outside of the other inmate employment that we do offer. And I have all of them listed there on this slide here. So let's talk a little bit about reentry. That's also done inside the prison. So we start inside the prison. We have reentry service offices in our prisons where inmates can go and get assistance 12 to 18 months prior to release. What jobs are available in the area that they're going to be released to? Is there additional schooling they need? Is there childcare information? Housing is a big one. And then we also have a variety of workshops that are offered in those reentry offices. So they're not leaving without certain skills. Now, the biggest thing I need to mention to you is the education, inmate employment, correctional industries, and this reentry. Everything is voluntary. None of this is mandatory for any of the inmates. So they are choosing. If somebody has gone through any of these steps while incarcerated, they have chosen to do so. So that is something to keep in mind. So it is offered inside the prisons. We have a lot of support in there. It's just a matter of the inmates going and actually doing it. And we have a number of them that go through. We do job fairs are coming up at some of our prisons. So as an employer, if you're interested in going out and meeting with inmates that are going to be released 12 months or less, you're welcome to come to the prisons, and we do job fairs. And a bunch of those we have a calendar for right now. So if there's any in the area where you're living right now, let me know, and I can always hook you up with those and go in and actually talk to the inmates. So we do have some barriers to employment that in our reentry offices, we really do try to address. A big one is transportation. A lot of our inmates and parolees don't have driver's license. They've been suspended, they've been revoked, whatever the case is. And a lot of them, transportation is an issue. So if you're in a rural area and you're not on a bus line, if there's any way that you as an employer can help with transportation, that will increase your chances of getting those employees to you. And so I always just like to share these barriers because they are big barriers, and Flagler Force is amazing. They actually helped come up with a fantastic way with this barrier in particular. The next thing is childcare. I mean, this isn't a reentry thing. This is an everyday thing, especially with COVID. COVID really brought that to light. If any of you have small children and were affected by that when it was time to, the kids are at home and you've got to go back to work, but the daycares are closed and you really don't realize how important that is. Well, we have childcare issues with that reentrant population as well. Identification. Now, something I do want to mention is I-9 documents is something that we work with. Every inmate in the prison is offered the chance to get their birth certificate, their social security card, and a photo ID prior to release. And I say offered. That doesn't mean they accept it or they follow through with it. But every one of them are given the opportunity to get those I-9 documents prior to release. We do have memorandums of understanding with Social Security Administration and PennDOT for those services. And I already mentioned housing. Housing is another big barrier that sometimes our parolees do come up against and sometimes have a challenge with. I just like to share these with you because sometimes, as a second chance employer, if there's any way you can help with any of these barriers, it'll help. We're never asking for special treatment, preferential treatment for our reentrant population. You treat them just like everyone else. But if there is a way to help with this, we are always grateful, and you'll get a larger population of employees that may come to you. So another thing we have on the outside that help once they're released is a community reentry parole agent. This is just like the reentry parole agent inside the prisons. They're there on the outside to help anybody that's on parole that need any help with any of those barriers: housing, transportation, childcare, employment, all of that. So once you connect with me and we do that initial connection, you may get connected with your local CRPA. They're throughout the state. We have a variety of them. They're based on regions. And that may be your point of contact moving forward, just because they have that caseload that they know who's currently looking for certain jobs. So the why. I've spoke a lot about what's going on inside the prisons. I gave a really big, fast background overview. But why? Why are we all here today? We want to talk about agriculture, right? And you're probably thinking, well, you haven't really talked too much about that right now. But guess what? We have a farm at one of our prisons, SCI Rockview. here's some pictures. We actually went. Sarah Glagora is right here in the pink right here, feeding a baby calf. I'm over here feeding a baby calf also. And we went and toured the farm up at SCI Rockview. They have beef cattle, they have pigs, they have crops. They're growing corn, they're growing potatoes. The inmates run all of it with the staff. I think there are 3 staff members and there's a handful of inmates out there that are running this on a day-to-day basis. And they're not just feeding the baby cattle, you know, they're out there getting them out in the pasture. They're making sure the pastures are ready. They're building, I mean, they built a barn, you know, if they need certain things for the, you know, to hold the animals, they're actually building it. They're welding it, they're building it. Those are the inmates doing it. It was such an eye-opening experience going out there, and Sarah, you know, it was just so nice to have eyes from agriculture go out there and look at this. And this is actually something that's been going on for years. I've been here almost 6 years and I had no idea. I just learned about it a handful of months ago. And as soon as I heard that they had a farm and I went out there, the light bulb went on, and Sarah's been asking for years to partner with us with Department of Ag, and I couldn't find a way to fit it in, and this was perfect. We have inmates that are getting that hands-on experience that you're looking for right now in ag, crops, cattle, pigs. They're working with Penn State. Penn State comes over and helps with the animal care and animal husbandry. You know, the pigs, everything is going for slaughter, the pigs and the cattle, it's beef cattle. The crops, they farm it, they do everything, and they then share it with local food banks, other SCIs, and apparently the pork chops from the pigs were amazing, they said. That they had a really great meal with one day the staff were talking about it. So they're getting really great hands-on experience working out there. And I should remind you or let you know, this is not behind the wall. This is outside the gates. There's no prison walls. We had to drive from the prison out to the farm at Rockview. And this is up in the State College, if any of you guys are curious where SCI Rockview is. And so we had to drive to it. There's no walls, there's no gates, there's nothing keeping them in there. These inmates are so dedicated to these animals out there. And I just like showing you the few pictures that we had to show you that we actually do have a farm out there. And then something else that we have up at SCI Rockview is our forestry camp. Now I'm really hoping this video is going to play. So everybody cross your fingers. I have a brief, like 2-minute video to show a little bit about the forestry camp. So let's see if this works. Okay, Sarah, can you tell me if you see a video on here at all? Or is it still showing my PowerPoint?
It looks like it's still your PowerPoint.
Okay, let me get back over here. I have to see how to do this here. Looking, because I really want to be able to share this with you guys. This is showing you my whole OneDrive thing here. Or is it still just the slideshow?
It looks like it's still the slideshow.
Okay. So apparently we're not going to be able to show this video. I will keep trying to come back to this and get this shared, because I am not sure why, if I'm sharing my screen, why. Oh, wait, let's try this. There we go. Does that work? Do you see a video?
It looks like the website, yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to play it. And Sarah, if you can give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear this. Okay, I paused it.
Yeah, we couldn't hear it.
Couldn't hear it. Okay. So that's not going to work. All right, let me go back over here. Fast. All right. Let's go back. Do that again. Sorry about that, guys. I was really hoping that was going to work for you. So a little bit about our farming that we do have up there is we have and Shea may be able to actually talk more about this, even though she's here for Flagler Force. She's used to be with DCNR, and she actually headed up and was part of this. Up at, I'm trying to find where I was here. I apologize, everybody. Is that back up there? Fine now. Do you guys see the tree? Oh. Do you guys see the tree? I should have never messed with it. Okay. And so we have a tree. They're learning a variety of things up there. They're climbing trees. They're learning to, you know, proper safety. We did riparian barrier right up there, Shea. And so if anybody is interested in this tree part of it, let me know. I can get you that video and we can see a little bit. It was also on Facebook, on our Department of Corrections Facebook page. I'm kind of bummed that I can't show you the video. But there's a lot of great work that's going on up there. So it's not just the farm that we have. We actually do have this also. So I'm going to talk really fast about the benefits of hiring a reentrant. So this is one of those great things, and I keep clicking the wrong darn thing. This is one of the things that everybody, you know, doesn't really know about either. There's financial benefits to hiring a reentrant. It's not just, hey, I'm getting a skilled candidate, I'm getting somebody out of prison. There's actually benefits. There's something called a work opportunity tax credit. It's a federal tax credit. There's a federal bonding program that you're eligible for hiring this population. So there are some benefits. You also get support of parole, both the field parole staff and the community reentry parole agents. You're not in this alone. So if you do hire somebody that's currently on parole, you know, like I said, don't treat them any different. They're an employee. There's nothing different about hiring them. There's nothing different about working with them. You just have that support that if there is an issue of any kind, you can always reach out to the parole agent and work with them if there's any issues. And then, as I said before, as I hoped I've showed you, you can get an experienced or a trained workforce, somebody that has accreditation, somebody that has that hands-on experience. And that's what a lot of employers are really looking for, and maybe don't realize that somebody coming out of prison, they have a conviction, but guess what? They're really skilled and they can really help you and be a benefit to you. One of the big things that I've heard, and I just talked to an employer recently that hired their first reentrant, and they said that they were so impressed with their dedication that they reached out to me to see if they can get more people on parole to work for them. And that's one of the biggest things that we hear from employers all the time is the dedication from somebody on parole, because they're so grateful that you gave them a chance and that they will be one of the longest employees you may ever have. The longevity is huge, the retention, and they're really dedicated. But how about we just hear from an employer instead? And so I'm going to pass it off to Shea at Flagler Force. And hopefully I'm going to stop sharing. I think I stopped sharing, and I will let you share, Shea.
Great. And I'm going to probably lose sight of the screen. So if you have a question, Dorenda, you can just interrupt me, or I'll be available afterwards to ask questions. And I'll try to breeze through this a little quickly to leave enough time. And also talk about, my time with the forestry camp a little bit, because I loved that. Okay, let me share my screen and then, okay. So if you all were not available at the beginning of the call, my name is Shea Zwerver. I am now the Workforce Relations Manager at Flagler Force. We're headquartered out of Hamarlund, Pennsylvania, but work all along the Eastern Shoreboard, which I'll show you. So briefly, I'll just talk about the company, some statistics, and then company practices. So Flagler Force, we're a short-term traffic control company, and you probably recognize us from our trucks with the logo on the side, the white trucks. So we have about 17, I think we're actually at 1,900 employees right now. We are available 24/7, so we do jobs all around the clock. We drive a lot, so you can see there the statistics around that. We have about 500 active job sites per day, work mostly with utility companies. We do some work with also tree care companies and storm damage. And so this is a map of where we're located. I just drew in green on the map of those are our service areas. So we are kind of all along like the Mid-Atlantic down the Eastern Shoreboard. And then where those the black, yellow icons are our warehouses where we store equipment, some of our trucks. And these are our shared values. So the one that stands out to me here is respect. So just a commitment to honoring the diversity of others with dignity, which we can talk about a little bit later. But I did want to just kind of build on a lot of the statistics Dorenda had shared earlier. So we know there are a lot of people incarcerated, but looking at that third bullet point there are about 70 to 100 million individuals in the United States, or 1 in 3 Americans, that have some type of criminal record. And 75% of formerly incarcerated individuals, they'll remain unemployed a year following release. And I think Dorenda had talked about the unemployment rates in the US and then in Pennsylvania. And I think for those with criminal records, it's like 27% unemployment. And if you want a point of reference, during the at the height of the COVID pandemic, I believe unemployment was about 14%. We know that people of color are disproportionately represented in our correctional systems, and 87% of employers conduct background checks at pre-employment stages. So that's just some statistics to provide context as we go through this. So inclusive culture, it starts from within the company. Employees are paying attention to the values, like the values that I had stated earlier, Flagler Forces. We want to be able to demonstrate those. So hopefully we do those through our hiring process. And we work a lot with candidate referral partners. So these are just some logos you see on the screen with our kind of top referring partners. So Pennsylvania Department of Corrections and the Maryland Department of Corrections, the Career Links, Goodwills, CEO. There's a nonprofit in Baltimore called Living Classroom. So the partnerships are really important. Not only do they refer people to us, but when they do that, we know that there's some kind of support system or they've been vetted in a way. So meaning they have support system like the nonprofits like Goodwill and Living Classrooms, they're receiving some of those social support services already. So if they're having issues with housing or food assistance or education, we know that they're being supported in some way, which also helps kind of maximize their performance or their ability to come to work and focus on work while they're with us. And then also, if we get people that just maybe apply off the street, we refer them back to those organizations so they can receive support through them. So it works really well, and it really does help with kind of preliminary vetting to ensure we have quality individuals who are ready to work coming to Flagler Force. And I will share in the chat after this, just on the partnership, when you're all looking to maybe start partnerships with some of the correctional industries, like at this agriculture one, the Forest Service just published a report, and the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections and Department of Conservation and Natural Resources is highlighted in the report and just talks about when you want to start a program. The report's focused on forestry, but if you want to start a program, just the importance of partnerships, of pulling in academic institutions and the private industry and the public sector as well, really will help you leverage your resources and have a successful program moving forward. So now I'll get into kind of Flagler Forces, how we practice inclusive hiring and our second chance or fair chance hiring company. So we really start with, you saw kind of that candidate referral partners is like the recruiting process. And then we get into the application process, and we've worked really hard to remove any barriers with that. So you're seeing on the screen, you're seeing on the screen here, a screenshot of our website and our application page. So this is the first step when someone wants to apply for our field positions. The crew member is our entry-level field position. So this is, they just enter their first name, email, and these two questions we've added. Do you have daily access to a reliable vehicle, or do you have a driver's license? And when they answer that, if they answer no to one of those, that triggers an internal process where if they don't have access to a vehicle or a driver's license or both, what that does is internally we reach out to our current talent pool and we see if we have internal resources available to help them with transportation. So we do have the fortunate ability that we have, part of our business is that we have trucks and we're going out to sites every day. So that is part of just the business that we have those trucks and we have crew leaders driving those trucks. So we'll reach out to our crew leaders and our advanced crew leaders, and we will see if somebody's available to provide them transportation support. And then that's kind of why it's important to ask those questions up front. We also, a lot of people, we help them kind of put a time frame on obtaining their driver's license. We hope that if we hire them within 6 months, they're able to obtain their driver's license, because then they could also get into one of our trucks and go on, be promoted to the next level. So the online application is extremely easy. It takes really like 10 minutes to fill out. We don't require a resume, a cover letter. We don't have any questions about previous experience. And I know that's going to differ depending on what industry you're in. For us, our crew member positions, our entry-level positions are relatively non-technical and don't require any previous knowledge or experience or skills. So I know that could all differ for other companies. And so yes, no, it's pretty streamlined. You can feel free to practice filling it out, or if I can walk you through it if you want to touch base afterwards. It's also really important when you're working with the corrections, whether it's a state correctional entity or a jail, and I'm sure a lot of you can attest coming from that, but just the importance of showing that there is a career pathway, that there is economic mobility and empowerment options when you get into this industry. So you can start out as a crew member and you work your way up pretty quickly. And then we have different, sectors you could go into. You could, or different focuses. So you could go into training or safety or field management. But just having this visual is really important to show partners or to show anyone who's entering your, if someone applies to your industry or your specific company, showing them that there are growth opportunities. That's very important, especially from people reentering society. So the other benefits we offer to our employees, the weekly pay, that's a huge benefit, especially for people reentering society, of just being able to, we find a lot of our field staff are living paycheck to paycheck. So the weekly pay is very helpful. We have those promotional opportunities that we talk to them a lot about, those internal transportation services. So that kind of goes into a little bit more detail that I just explained. Employee assistance program, most companies and businesses have this. And contract out. It's like a 24/7 hotline they can call and receive financial literacy assistance or mental health assistance. We do offer medical, dental, vision, 401k options, and we just launched actually this month a GED support. So anyone who doesn't have a GED who would like to obtain one while they're working with Flagler Force, we'll pay for them to get their GED. And then we do have an internal education reimbursement and hardship funding. And then the benefits to us, Dorenda really touched on these, and those last two she had already mentioned, the workforce opportunity tax credit and federal bonding, but Flagler Force sees it. We really do see individuals that have a criminal background that come to work for us have a stronger sense of loyalty and appreciation. And just the other day I was talking with someone and they were talking about that when they applied, they liked that the application process was really easy. And one of our internal processes is that our recruiting team has to get in touch with applicants within 48 hours. So they heard back quickly, which made them feel, wanted and important. They also need that employment opportunity pretty quickly. And then we usually will schedule them for their first day of training, which is the first day they work with us. And scheduling them we will schedule them for that training after we follow up with their phone interview. And so it all happens extremely quickly, which I've heard they really appreciate. And it makes them feel, in comparison, when they send in an application to companies and don't hear back for a couple weeks, it really weighs on them. And also, imagine getting out and not having a plan and then not hearing back from companies after weeks. So that's something else we really work towards. They have a strong motivation to learn and grow. in our company composition. It reflects the communities in which we work. So we have a diverse workforce, and that's important as we're working in those communities, that we reflect the very diversity of those communities as well. And then just in the contribution towards reducing recidivism. So we know that when you're unemployed and you've returned to society, the unemployment could really hinder, or I guess it could land you back into prison. So being able to offer those employment opportunities. So that's something we really take pride in, of just being able to help reduce recidivism by providing those employment opportunities to people and helping them with economic mobility. I think this is my contact information if you have any questions, and I'm going to drop in the chat that technical report, and then also another resource I just learned about last week on childcare. Thanks.
And then Shea, can you maybe just touch briefly on the forestry camp?
Yes, let me
a little bit about what they did up there.
Yes, and I'm very excited to share this link to this report because it was just published last week, I think on Thursday. And the forestry camp started in 2017. So the forestry camp is right across the street from Rockview, and it's a minimum security facility. 72 men live there. Their Rockview and the forestry camp, they are surrounded hence by 6,000 acres. Part of majority, some of those acres, I think like 600 to 800 are comprised of the farm Dorenda was just mentioning, and then 2,500 acres is forests. So the men that are living at the forestry camp are practicing hands-on forest management. They're felling trees. They're dragging them out of the woods. They have firewood program they have a portable sawmill where they're milling lumber, and then they have a tree nursery. It's about 60 acres. And if you click on the link to see the report, that front cover shows you the same grove of trees that Dorenda had showed you earlier, but they have this nice little stand of trees that are perfect for practicing tree climbing. So it's a multi-week training, and it gets in from the basics of like, why are trees important? What do they provide us with? And then getting more into the science of tree biology, their properties, and soil, water, nutrition, and then those hands-on like climbing, tree worker safety, they do chainsaw safety. So it's a really in-depth training, and individuals that have graduated from that program have gotten jobs in the in the forest products industry, in the tree arboriculture, tree care industry. So it's a really awesome program.
Thanks, Shea. It was like a twofer with Shea on here today. She was able to provide both for us. So I was really excited. Thank you. See, I didn't even have to show you the video. Unfortunately, I can't link the video. It's on our OneDrive. And so it won't let me link it for everybody. So I will see if there's a way that I can get it to you. It was about a 2.5 minute video of them showing them climbing. So let me go back to my PowerPoint here. Let me. Yes, I want to resume. Whole thing, man. Okay, so thank you again. Shea is an employer. Can you guys see my PowerPoint again? Sure. Okay. So something that you may be thinking right now, what's in it for me? With them, what's in it for me? So again, by being a second chance employer, you can get experienced candidates. They may already have industry certifications, a dedicated worker, somebody with that hands-on experience, that longer employee retention. There's the tax credit, there's the free federal bonding, and it helps reduce recidivism and taxpayer dollars, because it costs about $50,000 or $45,000 a year to house an inmate in our state prison system. And if you as an employer just take a chance on one of them, somebody that's currently out and can help, you can help with that. And as a taxpayer, I would like to help lower that. And I think that, Shea said it, they're just such great dedicated employees. And a lot of them move up quickly. That's the one thing that I hear a lot from employers is that once they get their foot in the door, they tend to move up very fast also. And just so you know, Flagler Force is one of our public partners. And the reason I say that is I work with hundreds of employers we don't publicize who we work with as an employer. If you do not want to be known as a second chance employer, we do not put your name out there. You're not on a list anywhere. You're not mentioned in webinars. However, if you want to be a second chance employer like Flagler Force, absolutely. We can do podcasts. We can do, press releases about it. You can participate in sessions like this. But if you do not want to be a part of it, that's fine too. We just ask you to give them a chance. We don't have to publicize that we're working with you. Sometimes employers don't want it to be known. So maybe you came into this not really sure about it. Maybe you were like, nope, we don't hire formerly, incarcerated people. But hopefully we can get you to the yes. Hopefully this helped to get you a little bit closer if you were on the no or the maybe. Hopefully we can get you to that yes piece. And if we haven't, please share with us, what can we do to get you to yes? What are still your concerns, your questions that you may have? So next steps after this. So if you are interested in becoming a second chance employer, just email me. It's that easy. It's about a 10 or 15 minute phone call with me. I will ask you information about your business. I will write up information to send out to our staff. And that's all that it is. There's no formal agreement. There's no process. It really is just a phone call with me. As I said before, it's an ongoing relationship. It's not a one-time thing. And I just share it with staff inside the prison that have inmates that are getting ready to get released to your area, and then also to our staff that are working with the reentrants on the outside in that area. Like I said before, we do not ask you to do anything separate for them. Flagler Force does have a separate process, and every employer is different. As an employer, you can tell me, nope, have everybody come to our main website and apply that way, or go to LinkedIn, or yes, we have one dedicated person who's going to process all of the inquiries. It's completely up to you. We're not asking you to change your business model, your HR process at all. Think of me as just another avenue to get you employees. That's all that I am. Just use me as another way to get employees. So that's my contact information. And that's if you're looking to get a hold of me, and every one of you should already have my email. You all emailed me to get on this webinar here. If you would like to speak, we can set up a time to speak more in depth. And then one of the other things, any of you that are on here that are actually in agriculture, arborist, treeing, any of that, if you are interested, we are looking to plan a day up at SCI Rockview for you as an employer to go see the farm, see the forestry camp, get a demonstration, and actually talk with the inmates that are working out there. So if that is something that you are interested in, let me know so we can get that planned and formed up. And like I said, that's up at State College at SCI Rockview, but that's a way that you can actually see what the inmates do and talk to them. You can see the farm, see the pigs, if there's still pigs, see the cattle out there, see any of the crops, see the forestry camp. They can do a demonstration and everything. Something that we are looking to do with Department of Agriculture is we're looking to look into some pre-apprenticeship programs. We have 3 of them that we're looking into possibly starting. So that's something we're really excited about coming down the pike. And yeah, Sarah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Stunning. Sarah, would you like to say anything, share anything? Have I missed anything before I open it up for questions?
Yeah, no, I think you covered everything really nicely. Just super excited about the opportunities with partnering with the Department of Corrections and what we can offer, and really how we can, use this group as a workforce strategy going forward. So super excited to have our ag partners on the call. And on a second, if you're interested in the in-person at Rockview, please feel free to reach out to me.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. So if you want to raise your hand or if you want to put a question in the chat box, please feel free. Oh, we looked at, we've got a question. Brady Hill. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Ask your question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity you guys have here. I think it'd be something I'm definitely looking forward to working with. But with the animals that you have there, do they also have chickens, or is it just the pigs and cows and such that we saw?
At that farm, it's just the pigs and the cows. I don't believe we have chickens at any of our locations as of yet. That might be something maybe we can expand later on. Oh, there you go. Perf. I was hoping that one of you out there at SCI would pipe up. Go ahead, Mr. Rowe.
As of right now, we don't have chickens, but that is something that we are exploring at this moment.
Wonderful.
Perfect. I represent Souter Eggs, so it was obviously we have some ranches for chickens with our chickens that we have some openings that this may be a great opportunity for them, as well as in our processing locations in Lancaster area.
Great. Thank you. And I should say, yeah, and I know that we also have Wade from out at SCI Rockview, I believe, is on the line also. So if anybody has those specific questions that you would like to ask about the forestry camp, he does oversee the forestry camp up there for both programs. So if that is something that you guys have the questions, now's the time. Ask away. I don't see any other hands raised. Check chat. Let's see. Is there any collaboration with county level corrections facilities in terms of the training and professional opportunities for inmates? So we don't directly, and I'm assuming this has nothing, this isn't directly ag-related, but as far as the county level correctional facilities, we do participate in the local reentry coalitions that are done in the majority of the counties throughout Pennsylvania. And a lot, if not every county jail is part of that. So we do work with them if needed. You know, we do partner if we need to. We definitely share our curriculum. We share our successes. But as far as anything specific, no, but we do share if we're given the opportunity. Oh, I see another hand up. Let's see, whose hand up? Emily, you have your hand up, or was that your question?
Yes, that was my question. That's helpful. Just wondering how we could collaborate as well with our county correctional facilities, or whether this is more with the state level.
So everything we're doing is with the state level. I mean, Sarah might be able, I don't know, Sarah, if any of the ag stuff, can that flow over into counties at all?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a partnership to be made with the counties from the ag side.
Right.
Great, thank you.
Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing any. I'm looking in the former, going back and make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Any other questions? Oh, I see a question. Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is all really great information, but for the counties that I serve with Career Link in Juniata and Perry, like they're rural, there's a lot of forestry opportunities and agricultural opportunities, but how would I be able to tap into the state correctional facilities to know when, if I have a participant out of either one of those counties coming back home, I guess you could put it, like how do I get that information so I know as a PA Career Link representative I can reach out to them and engage them and present these sort of opportunities to them if they have the right experience? Like that's like what I'm trying to wrap my head around, is to have like almost like a pipeline in essence, so that we can provide the opportunities, because we have like a special funding stream for for eligibility for reentrance. So I'd like to take full advantage of all of this.
So yes, we actually, inside the prisons, in those reentry service offices, inmates are able to register for PA Career Link while they're incarcerated and start looking for jobs. We do have PA Career Link staff come into every one of our prisons and either do workshops or in education talking with our inmates. Our community reentry parole agents in the areas should be connecting with you. If you need to know who your community reentry parole agent is, let me know and I can make that e-introduction. That is the person who would be referring them over to CareerLink. So that would be your pipeline. Because when they get out, every one of our community reentry parole agents do have an orientation within the first week, I think, of somebody getting out, sharing with them what the resources are that are available, including the PA CareerLink. So if you are not connected with your local community reentry parole agent, let me know and I can get that to you.
Yeah, I think I'll just confirm that right now and then relay the information to the appropriate staff, and we'll get on that so that
Perfect.
we have the proper channel set up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Shea,
you.
You're welcome. Shea, you have a question?
I just wanted to add on to that of, I think Jonathan Geyer, who's with the Hardwoods Development Council, had put in the chat a link to their, as pertaining to forestry jobs. So that's a good resource too. So the Hardwoods Development Council does have like a PA forestry jobs website, and that would be a good resource. And to mention for transportation, I wanted to touch on this in the rural areas, like when we're talking about forestry and agriculture, that there are employers that have like a brick and mortar warehouse or facility that will hire a van service, like as a contractor vendor, and they'll often, go and help contract with them to pick up individuals, and it's paid for like through the individual's paycheck. So they might take like $30 a week out of their paycheck just so the company can, contract with that van service.
Okay.
And I do see, Jonathan, thank you for about the hit the share button with the computer sound. I did not know that part, so thank you. I will know that for next time. But I don't want to keep everybody beyond the thing. And someone else also asked about if the PowerPoint would be shared. Yes, I have the list of everybody that's participated today, so I will share the slides. I will send everybody the slides. I will also share what I call my employer packet. It has a little bit more detail on the certifications that are offered inside the prisons, and it'll have a list of the maps and the correctional industries in there.
This is
And there's a
Deputy
one.
Logan.
Oh, yes.
Just to provide a little more information regarding CareerLink, we have an individual by the name of Robert Eddy come in monthly to our forestry camp to provide CareerLink services to our forestry or camp inmates. So that happens on a monthly basis.
Great. Thanks, Mike. So I will send you guys that. And then I see Matt Geiger put in here about you want the information for Lawrence and Mercer County. I will find that for you and reach out for you. So I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I just really want to thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Shea, for helping coordinate all of this today. And I just really appreciate everybody's participation today. And hopefully, I will hear from some of you about wanting to be a second chance employer. And if you are interested, if somebody as an employer, you were in agriculture, or forestry, and you were interested in coming to Rockview, please send me an email and let me know. And Christine, I do see your note there. And I will get you that information also. So thank you guys so very much. Have a great rest of your day. And I appreciate all of you and all the work that you do. So thank you guys so very much. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.